Welcome back to another video, guys. Today I have something very special to show you all. This build has taken me over a week to complete, over 2,500 blocks in length, and 83 million blocks placed. Now this is going to be a really long video, so sit back, relax, and I hope you enjoyed as much as I did creating it. We are first going to create some terrain wall segments which are going to surround the entire build. Now how I created these wall segments, I used World Edit to create a base shape, as you see in the second and third wall segments, and then I go over it with a Go brush using mostly just the flat mode. To give you a sense of scale here, the orange pillars are 200 blocks tall, with the top of each wall segment almost reaching the build limit of 256 blocks. Now, what exactly are we building? We are recreating a concept created by artist 2boy, where humans have destroyed the outside environment and therefore have to live inside an artificial canyon under a sky dome. I thought this was a really cool idea and couldn't resist building it within Minecraft. I'll put a link down to the concept in the description below. Now we move on to the giant vertical structures, which the artist says houses thousands of civilians, generates energy, has an air filtration system, and contains all the water for the city. So this building has to be huge. I've also left shaders off for the time-lapse part of this video, so when I'm building you can see all the little details I add to it, as well as the fact that most shaders can't handle the scale of this build. So let me know for future time-lapses whether I should go back to having shaders for time-lapse or just keeping them off. And now we move back to the terrain segments and start to flush out some structures. These buildings are going to be predominantly research based, and I'm really glad on how they've turned out. The next piece of structure we're going to work on is a man-made waterfall. This building is for power generation and also allows moisture to get into the air for the surrounding plants and wildlife. It's also really cool just to have waterfalls. Now to make these waterfalls I use just a sphere brush in World Edit and mask to air only, and then smooth it all off with some voxel sniper. For this section I wanted to split it into two areas, so on the bottom I decided to go with a more businessy area. On the top half of the segment I put a wildlife research enclosure, which is barricaded by a big net to stop anything from falling off the cliff. So once the trees were built, I moved all the segments and the giant buildings to the places I wanted them to be for the final build, so I could get a rough idea of how big this was going to be, and I did not expect for it to be nearly 2,000 blocks long and hadn't even started on making the ends. What you can see right now is me planning out the curve for the roof. I didn't exactly plan it well, so I did have to move all the terrain down a little bit so I could fit the roof curve in. These rectangles are supposed to be LCD screens that give the impression of a nice clear blue sky for the civilians that live underneath them. So I fill them with glass and start turning off some of the panels and adding some damage marks to them. We now have the base of the build completed. I now start building some of the structures we'll be placing in between each side of the canyon. This includes a waste treatment facility, a small building, and a ground-based laboratory. We now move on to creating the ends of the build. This was a bit difficult because the terrain wasn't flat anymore, it was on an arc. But using the same techniques, I still managed to complete it, just with a little bit more difficulty. Now unfortunately, some of the video files did get corrupted from this point onwards, so I didn't get too much footage of me creating the other end segments of the terrain. Here I decided to make it look like this terrain segment was still under construction, by placing big holes in it covered up with scaffolding and creating a crane that is lifting materials up the higher scaffold. I was really pleased with how this turned out, and is probably one of my favourite parts of this build. The final structure I'm adding to this building is designed to be more of a luxury type of building, overlooking the whole canyon and giving the best views. Now that we are all done building, we can sit back and watch this epic build. Thank you so much for reaching the end of the video. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and don't forget to subscribe. My Discord link is also down in the description if you want to join. Just as a reminder, all my maps are up for download to sponsors only. To become a sponsor of the channel, you can click the join button next to the subscribe button. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next video.